Hey everyone, welcome back to Nettle Barn. This episode I'm going to be doing my bathroom. Now, like everything in this house, it's a very small bathroom. It's just 2.2 square meters, so I'm going to have a toilet and a sink on this side and then a wet room shower on this side. I've got my electric feed in for the shower. I've cored a hole through, put pipe in for my extractor and got a electric feed there via a isolation switch, and then I've got two wall lights on this side, a ceiling light up top and a socket that I'm going to have in that cupboard because I'm going to want power in here as well. But the first job I need to do is sort the drain out and get the floor in, and then I can work upwards from there. Now, annoyingly, the day before I did the concrete pour for the base, I thought, oh, I need to leave a section out for the drain, so I need to order a drain to put in. And I went online and I ordered this triangular drain, which is really nice. So I left that triangle out there. However, that is never going to come out of there and go down there nicely. So scrap that one off. I'm going to sell that. And I bought a channel drain instead. So that will sit there and come out much more nicely, straight from there, 90 down. So now I need to chop some of this concrete back out to get that set in. Right then, got the concrete cut out now and the channel drains sat in nicely. I've got adjustable legs on these channel drains with some bolts going on, so you can screw them in and out to get it all set up, get it all level. The floor coming up to this is going to have a slight gradient on it, but this all needs to be level. I don't need a fall from here to here. So that's all set up how I want it, but there is still a little bit of movement in this, and I'm going to be concreting around it. I want it to be perfect, so what I'm going to do, just stick a weight on this and then double check everything, check my distances from the wall so it's all running in right, make sure that's perfect, it's solid, can get concreted around it. Also, my compression fitting here that I've put into the waste pipe, I've wrapped all that in insulation tape to give it some protection from the concrete. They do say that, well, most people say that UPVC doesn't need any protection from concrete, but some say that you should wrap it, so I've wrapped it so we give it the best possible job. So let's get some concrete around it, get it set in. So that's the wet room drain, concreted in and secure, ready for the final screed that will slope downwards towards it in all directions. But before I do that, I'm going to get my tile backer boards on these sides because they'll sit nicely to this flat floor, and then my screed will go up to that and give a nice finish instead of doing my sloping screed then trying to cut the boards to match and having a little gap. So that's all the boards on now, and I've started setting out for doing the screed. So I'm going to do this in 4 different sections, coming off the drain at a 45-degree angle on each corner. So as this whole section will slope towards it that way, that section that way, this one will slope that way, and that one that way. And I'm working with a gradient of 1 to 40. So every 40 centimeters you go out, you're going up 1. So this distance from here to here, I've just got a fall of 3 and 35 millimeters is giving me the correct fall there. And then I've screwed a piece of board on the back so as I know where I need to go to. And then this one tapers downwards towards this point, which is where my 45 degrees comes from the corner there, and then it's level across there at the right height for my gradient coming down that way. Same with that one's level across there for the gradient coming down there. I've cut a piece of wood in here that suits that, so that's flat to there with the right height for that fall, and then slopes up slowly here all the way to that back edge again. So now I can do a mix of cement and get this filled in, and I've got a little tamper that will fit across there as well, so I can screed that out, and then we should have the finished floor to work with. Let's get a mix on. Looking pretty good. Let it go off a little bit, and I'll come back and give it another skim over to get rid of those little lines. I'm pretty happy with that. So that concrete's all cured now, fully gone off. It's had about a week, let all the moisture come out of it, and we're ready to seal all this now. Because it's going to be a wet room, got to make everything watertight. So I've got, for the floor, this rubber, like sticky back rubber sheeting. It's quite thick, should be good that. And then the walls, this is waterproof tile backerboard, so all I need to do is seal the joints, and where I've put any screws through with some of this jointing tape and the adhesive that goes with it. And I'm going to do the walls first, so I'm not standing on the floor while I do the walls, and then I can do the floor bit last and then get tiles on. So let's get all this watertight. So that's the wet room, all waterproof now. Got everything sealed, ready for tiles to go on. This rubber paint stuff and the jointing strips work really well. The paint sort of like soaks into the tape because it's like material covered stuff. It's sort of like paper mache. It's made a real nice seal, that has. And I've done the main area of the shower with all the proper tape, but then this side I had some of the paint left over, so I decided to seal these joints as well. But because I had none of the tape left, I just used some strips of material and ran those across, paint on first, material on, another layer of paint again, and yeah, it's worked really well. I think that sealed it fine. So the sink area is now waterproof as well, just in case. The floor stuff, this is really good. It's the stickiest stuff in the world. It's ridiculous. It's really good stuff. And I've run that across the floor and then up the side, and then jointed it again with some of this paint stuff. and on this joint I ran a strip of it on the floor first, and then the floor membrane both sides, joint in the middle, and then again run some of this stuff over the top just to make it super duper sealed. And then where it comes into the drain, this flows over the edge of the drain and down, and then this bit just screws on top. This is where my tiles need to come to, so I've just put that on as a guide for now. But yeah, we're all sealed and ready to go. Now tiling, I've been and bought a big piece of porcelain, so I can do this in one giant piece, which is good for this joint because it'll just flow straight over it. And then 1, 2, 3 pieces there going in as well, which means there won't be any joints in the tiles then. If I'd have tiled this and had loads of grout joints, when you have a shower, the grout joints will stay wet, and then when you walk it over to the toilet and sink, you get wet socks. So with it all being in one piece, I'll be able to just squeegee it and it'll be dry. I cut this piece ready while it was still a concrete floor, so I'm not damaging this membrane. So that's all ready to go. I just need to do a mix and we can start getting the floor down. First piece in, fitting lovely. And I'll just measure the gap between the top of this metal and the top of the tile. It doesn't matter how big a gap that is, as long as it's the same all the way across. So I'm going to take this piece out, sit it on spacers, and then bring that up to the perfect height for there with whatever spacers are needed. So now I've got to put these 3 pieces in with the same height difference from that on these edges. Instead of grouting these joints, I'm going to mix some resin up and actually stick the joints together to be a much stronger and tighter joint that won't leak and should be a nice finish. I'm just going to put on this joint. So that's the floor all done. Time to start getting some tiles on the walls. There's the tiles all finished. Look how nice this slate's come out. I love the colours in it. And then the cream wall. Got my wall lights up now as well. So I've got these on separate switches, the wall light and the ceiling light. I've sealed all the slate with the tile sealer, and then I've grouted it, and then it's ready to be sealed again over the top. Used a cream grout on this side. Yeah, the floor drain's finished now. I'll just lift this up and show you. So this lip before was slightly lower, So you have to put in whatever spaces are required underneath to bring this to the right height, and then it all just sits nice and flush. That sits in the top there, and then that's all nice. Good little floor drains then. So now I need to start working on my toilet and sink unit. So I've mocked these up. I've got a flexible pan connector, so as that's meant I could move the toilet slightly further that way because it was a bit close to the wall. And then I'm going to do my sink on this little jointy 30-degree angle because I think it'll just fit nicer. And I've got a load of this oak left over from what I milled up to do the kitchen with. So I'm going to use some of this to make some framework to build that unit in there. So let's get that built. So I've started running the water feed in now. So I've got hot and cold supply to the sink. And then coming down here I've had to do a little bit of a curve over there because there's not actually any room behind that waste pipe. And then I've teed off the cold feed there to come up to the toilet cistern, and then these will continue around to the shower. Now I've mocked all this up with the toilet in place so I know where it goes, and then I've marked it up with a pencil, and would normally be fixing this with screws through these holes here, but because I've done this as a wet room and done all the membrane and everything, I obviously don't want to compromise that. So I'm just going to silicone this in place, and that should be fine. So I've siliconed that all the way around the back as well, and I've dropped some in these holes as well because this is sealed all the way around. I don't want any moisture building up in there. So that's all sealed now. And then for the back of here, I've got this oak board that I've made, and this is just lots of planks from when I did my kitchen. I've planed them up and biscuit jointed them all together, and then just sanded it all up, and I've put a matte varnish on this so it's nice and waterproof, and then cut a little slat out so as that just slides down there. And then this is my corner unit that I've made from the oak beams from my kitchen. These are built pretty much same as my kitchen units, so I didn't really film too much of making this bit. If you want to see that, go have a look at the kitchen video, I'm sure you'll love it. And then this just slots in here. This post I've run down on the table saw at an angle to just cut that corner out, and then this should just slide into there. Beautiful. So that fits perfectly down there, and I've got some fixings to put in the back that screw straight through the post into this board. So 3 of those down there fixes that to there then. Wee shelf in here, divide that cupboard up. Little shelf looks good. Just need some cupboard doors on it now. But next job, can get this sink on. See what she looks like. Yeah, it's good. Let's get some silicone on then. So the waste for my sink, I've just got a straight out 90-degree waste pipe and this flexi hose that's going to connect to a tank connector that I've put on my water system for the toilet. So all the water that you're washing your hands with is just going straight into there, and you're not using as much of your cold feed water to top that up then. So that's all connected up now into the cistern, and the cistern is now acting as a trap. So I don't need a trap on this bit here. I can just come straight out and right angle, which keeps it nice and high then, which is good for coming into the cistern, and it means you haven't got a trap in here taking space up in your cupboard, which is nice. So that's all plumbed in. Turn my water onto this now, so that's filled up, and I've put my flush switch in. So just give it a little one to see. That's working now, which is good. Filling back up. Obviously if you're washing your hands you'd be saving a little bit of water there because it's filling out of this pipe. And then all I need now is worktop bits to go on here, and I've fetched a beautiful piece of limestone from the reclamation yard to cut to go on here. 50mm thick. I'm going to try and face the front with a chisel so it's got a nice natural look to the front of it. Should look really good on there. So cut some cardboard templates out and we'll go and trace these onto the limestone and get it cut out. So now I've got that cut to the right shape, you go ahead and face this so it's got a nice natural look to the front of it. How nice is that looking now? It's clean. That's come out nice. Just need to cut a hole out here for my tap to go in, and then I can get these silicone down. So I've drilled the hole now for the tap to go through, and I'm going to give all the limestone a seal with this stone sealer. And I've also made the doors now for the cupboard. So these want a matte varnish on them, same as the rest of the cupboard, and then they're ready to go on as well. These little black dots are little fossils from crustaceans when it was on the seabed. Lovely limestone. Seal. Boom. Just need some doorknobs and some latches fitting on them. And got these little blanking bits to fill in. There's gaps. Just put some wood glue on these and chuck them in. A nice snug little fit, so push them in there. Lovely. The cupboard's pretty much finished. So, with regards to the shower, what I've decided to do is this craziness. So I've got a mixer shower from the hot water tank and an electric shower, so I've got options. So I've got my hot and cold feed coming in to the mixer shower, but then the cold tees off at this point and goes up to the electric shower, and then when it comes out, instead of having two shower heads, I've just fed this one into a diverter so I can switch between mixer shower or electric shower. Now unfortunately this is fixed in this position. I couldn't change it to feed out this side or it would have been a bit neater, so I've had to go bloop. But it just adds to the craziness. I quite like it. Funky, steampunk baby. Now I've tested the joints to this point. I put end caps on these two pipes, and then I've connected the mains cold water to the hot tap and the cold to test all the joints up to this point, and that's okay. But all this bit is just dry run at the minute. I've just had it all apart and wire walled it all and fluxed it all, so I'm ready to solder it, and then we can get water on, get this cover on, and see if we've got a shower. Wish me luck. Okay, moment of truth. Let's turn the water on. Oh, leaks. Wow, never perfect, is it? Right, well the leaks turned out to be these two compression fittings that I'd not nipped up, so I did those, and this one elbow was leaking on one side, so I just had to redo that. Turn the water back on now, and we're all watertight, no leaks. So get this front on, just clip that into there. I got a shower! Oh, it's getting warm. Woo! Yeah! So there we are. Bathroom is complete. I could not be happier with how it's come out. I love it. The limestone top on here is one of my favourite parts. It really complements the outside of the building. And the shower is fantastic. I love the monsoon head. But the plant shelf is by far the best thing in here. I absolutely love that. All the plants dangling down. And this will all fill out as everything's reaching for the light. It's going to be great. I've not fitted the extractor fan yet. That's one last little job that needs doing, but with the roof light open when I have a shower, it's fine for the time being anyway. Door shuts now. I've put some surround wood around the edges. I absolutely love this stained glass window. It's fantastic. Gotta love stained glass, haven't you? And the tap's all working now. I'm running into the cistern. Great system that. So yeah, that is it. Bathroom all done. Now that's pretty much all the big jobs done for the barn now, but there's plenty more to do here. So stay tuned and there might be more to follow. Cheers for watching.